You are responsible for your own happiness. Too often, we're counting on other people to keep us cheered up, encouraged, feeling good about ourselves. That's putting too much pressure on the people in your lives. Let them off the hook.
Nothing is so useless as doing with excellence what should not be done at all. Now, you know, there's a part of every one of us that wants people to be pleased with us. Nobody gets up looking for rejection. We all want acceptance, and we all want approval.
I refuse to be aware of something I could be and should be doing better and purposely decide to not do it. I refuse. That's just like inviting broke into your life. That's like inviting homeless in your life.
The power of the prescription is always in the application. I can write you tons of prescriptions. Doesn't mean anything's going to change. You actually have to take the prescription and then you actually have to put it into application if you want any power, if you want any transformation.
This is how it will always be. You can't really believe all that stuff that you were singing about mountains moving and chains breaking. God doesn't really do that stuff, or he does it for other people or not for you. It can deteriorate your faith.
Before you're like, oh, for sure, Mel Robbins, it's fear, it's dread, it's definitely a form of some sort of anxiety that I'm feeling. Just take a minute for a second and ask yourself this. Is the reluctance and the resistance that you feel, is it just a sign that you prefer to be home? Not because home feels safe, but because you just like being home by yourself better.
If you accept that the patriarchy is masculine, well then what's feminine? Well, the opposite of patriarchy and order, and that's creative chaos. And that's not my theory. It's the ancient Greek chaos and cosmos theory of being. God makes order. A patriarchal God makes order.
And I had said to myself, Les, this has not come to stay. It's come to pass. Play something. Jerusalem, yeah, play that. See, can you bust a move with that right about now? Maybe that exercise will help to calm you down. Do some deep breathing.
Tenacity is the ability to keep on keeping on when you feel like giving up. Tenacity is the ability to keep on keeping on when you feel like giving up. You're going to need that in life, particularly in hard times. Resilience is a little bit different. Resilience is the ability to bounce back.
If you're there and you're in a leadership position, or you're just in a position, you're in a relationship, whatever, and you're doing things for the team, you're trying to take care of the others, you're putting other people above you, in the end, you're going to win. And you're going to win way bigger than you could if you were clawing and scratching and ripping things and bringing them back to yourself.
I have learned a couple of things about success. And I guess it's about prosperity, success, whatever you want to call success, I have learned something about that. And I think that God has prepared me for that moment, you know, to understand it and to share some of the principles with people. There are a lot of people who know a lot of scriptures, but if you don't have application of what you memorize, you can't really get what all God got for you.
If I understand that correctly, that means that God does not order anything that he doesn't desire. That means if he put me somewhere, he picked me for where he put me. That means if he gave me an assignment to do. Now, sometimes we have to pick people to do stuff because we don't have any better options. Not God. God has options. He called who he wanted.
If you have low energy, you don't have any passion. You know, some people, they're already dead. They haven't made it official yet. But passion gives us a great amount of energy. And when we have that passion, there's something about how we love what we're doing and we enjoy what we're doing. And passion energizes us. A person with passion always stands out.
I realized that I believe God spoke the word about being even more careful than ever about complaining, and I don't consider myself to be a big complainer now. I used to be. that God just kept chipping away at it and chipping away at it and chipping away at it. And every time I start to get maybe a little bit loose and murmuring a little bit more, I'll get a fresh word about not complaining. So how many of you can use this today?
Your attitude can have a greater impact on your success than your IQ. You can be extremely talented, have incredible potential, but if you don't have the right attitude, it will keep you from rising higher. And we spend all kinds of time and money making sure the outside looks good, eating right, working out, and that's all fine, but too often we're not spending any time on the inside.
Your life would feel better and richer if you had a goal, you chased that goal, you accomplished some things, and you would get this boost of confidence, you'd get this boost of self-esteem, like whatever it is that you're into doing. Maybe you're into drawing comic books, maybe you're into making pottery or sculptures, but find whatever the that is and pursue that.
Nothing can resist a human will that will stake its existence on its purpose. Shortly put, I'll do it or die. I'm going through some words one day. I got to this one and I asked the kids, who can tell me what resolve means? Some didn't know, some tried. Interesting. The last one was the best. Little girl about 3 rows back, she said, I think I know, Mr. Rohn. I said, what? She said, I think resolve means promising yourself you will never give up.
When I meet someone who's not self-confident, I know this is someone who has consistently made promises to themselves they've not kept. They've started a diet and done it for a while but not kept it. They've made a commitment and goals to go make a certain amount of money in business, and they started down the road but then they didn't deliver on it long term, to get up at a certain time of the morning and then they don't do it. And so they have a process and a habit in their life more often than not of not keeping the promises they don't make to other people. They don't keep the promises they make to themselves.
To get past your failure, that failure in your life, you got to go through it. You can't go around your failure. You can't go over your failure. You can't go under your failure. You can't ignore your failure. You need to grieve the failure. You need to feel the pain. Now, we don't like feeling bad, but grief is a good thing. Grief is the way we get through the failure, and grief is the way we learn the lessons.
Got to raise your own game. And so what is the game that you play at work? You got to get out of the head that it's all about you. The best team members are always thinking about how to make the team better. The best team members are loyal to the team. The best people to work with are the ones that are in it together. And so in order for you to get your toxic colleague to shift behavior, you got to model it.
Make today count. Every day. Go forward. Get aggressive and attack, whether it's on the battlefield or on the beat or in the factory or on the farm or on the construction site or on the website, in the garage or in the firehouse. Don't hesitate.
You got a lot of problems happening in your life if you start chasing passion. So I'm in a passion-chasing business. I used to go to restaurants in LA, and every time I sit there, here comes some little fine girl. Every time I sit down, Mr. Harvey, can you look at my headshot and everything? I say, for what? What you do? I'm an actress. I say, so what you acting in? I'm not in anything yet. But I want to be. I said, no. What are you acting in? See, if you're an actress, then you act.
But when you live in denial, you'll be waiting for deliverance in a situation that requires discipline. Are you waiting for deliverance in a situation that is going to require discipline? In other words, are you waiting on God to cancel your debts, or are you making a plan to pay them off? Faith doesn't wait on a check. Faith gets up and goes to work, or at least looking for work. Faith will do it.
Now, if I were where you are and I was listening to what I just said, and I was taking notes somewhere on my notes or somewhere on my iPad, I'd be putting a star right here. I'd be putting a rocket ship. I would be putting a sign that says, do not miss this. Because your ability to lead will determine how successful you'll be in this house, without any question.
To turn the atmosphere around without sounding super religious, which sometimes turns people off. So I want to say, out in the world, don't blend in, stand out. Make people wonder why you're different. Make them wonder why you're happy. why you don't complain about everything that's going on, why you're not afraid of everything that's going on in your life.
Too many people go nose down. Their attitude keeps them from seeing justice and vindication. But if you'll do like Joseph and stay nose high, keep doing the right thing. Keep being good to people when they're not being good to you. Keep that song of praise in your heart. That's not just being positive, that's an attitude of faith. That's what allows God to show out in your life.
I know the feeling of failure, the feeling of shame, of being like a weak, non-motivated, lazy person. It's a weak feeling. It's you don't respect yourself. You know, and I have this phrase that I use all the time to people to try to motivate people. I say that be the hero in your own movie. Pretend that if your life was a movie and your life started now, what would the hero do? What would the person that you respect do? What would the person that you admire, person that inspires you, what would they do?
This is the poor guy who looks through the window, doesn't see the sunset. He sees the specks on the window. And this is the poor guy, right, who rushes up, takes such leave of his senses. This guy rushes up and he says, I've got 5 good reasons why it won't work. He's so dumb he doesn't know all he needs 1. He's got 5. To the pessimist, the glass is always half empty. To the optimist, the glass is half full.
Everything in your life happens for you, not to you. I'm just a huge believer in that. And so my baseball dream ended. I had an injury, probably gave me a premature end to a career that would have ended anyways in hindsight, because I played with enough great players that I kind of know there was a gap in just God-given ability level, not work ethic, but I think to be the greatest, there has to be some proclivity for it and work ethic, right? And so I kind of maxed out my limited abilities.
Now, there's some things that you're good at and you don't enjoy. Don't worry about that, okay? And there's some things, by the way, that you enjoy and you're not good at. I have a passion and I love to sing. The only problem was nobody liked to listen to it. So I loved to do it, but I wasn't good at it. And I didn't have the skills for that.
You should show up to those friendships a little bit differently, and maybe they'll go a little bit deeper. And it definitely means that based on where you are in your right now, that you should get more proactive about surrounding yourself with a group of new friends or current friends that are up to the same kind of growth that you are.
I was getting interviewed the other day, some interview, and the guy said something about like, you know, it's impressive how, you know, quickly you've built your brand.
Right.
And I looked at him and I said, I'm not a brand. I'm a person. I'm a person. What I'm doing is not what I'm doing so that I can leverage people. What I do is just me.
I don't care if you see a blind person, they can do something. You see a person with a handicap, they can do something. You can do something. Problem is, though, you got to attach yourself to the gift. Now, how do you find out what that is? The day that you can get real with yourself and say, hey, look here, what is my gift? This is how you discover that. It is the thing that you do the absolute best with the least amount of effort.
We call someone an influencer if they can get attention, so you buy something by clicking on a link through their account. That's what the world calls an influencer, because they can get attention. But attention is not the same thing as authority. Authority is when you know who you are, you know whose you are, you know what you've got, and you're okay with what you're not.
And passion is the great energizer. Once you have passion, you have energy. Once you find your passion, you find your purpose. There is something energetic about it. You have never known a person who was passionate that lacked energy. We talk about high energy people. We talk about low energy people. There's no such thing as like low energy people. or high energy people. If you have high energy, you have passion.
Can I just start by saying you're not going to complain your way into increase? Yesterday while I was walking, the Lord put the word increase into my heart. It came in me like a fire. I believe I am to prophetically declare increase over our ministry and our lives. Increase in every area: souls saved, creativity, energy, enthusiasm, more laughter. I'll tell you what, I'm going to have a big increase in laughter this year.
Am I going to live this day negative, sour, seeing the wrong, chip on my shoulder? Or am I going to live it in faith, positive, hopeful, seeing the best, being good to people? This is a choice that we have to make every day. If you're going to have a good attitude, you have to do it on purpose, because there will be all kinds of negative things that try to creep in. Bitterness, discouragement, self-pity.
If you don't have like a point of focus as a human, I think it's very hard to get through this life and have an appreciation for true struggle. Because our physical struggle with what our bodies are designed for, the caveman of 10,000 plus years ago, our bodies are still designed for that. That physical struggle doesn't really manifest itself when you're sitting in front of a cubicle, you know, in front of a computer in a cubicle, in this unnatural position all day.
Listen to voices of value that have experience, ideas, reputation, something valuable to share. Now here's number 3. Read all the books. Now there's millions of books, so you can't read all the books. But make this note. Read all the books you need to read to make you as wealthy as you want to be, as healthy as you want to be, as prosperous, as productive, as unique a human being as you want to be.
The process of building self-confidence is actually very easy, believe it or not. Self-confidence is self-trust. Self-confidence is building a reputation with yourself that you keep your word to you, that you keep the promises you make to you. When I meet somebody who has a ton of self-confidence, I don't look at that as somebody with a big ego. There's a difference. Somebody with self-confidence has a reputation with themselves that I do the things I say I'm going to do.
You don't make excuses for the failure, you grieve it. You feel the pain. You don't brush it off, you don't downplay it. You feel the pain and you don't rush to feel better. Now, listen, this is a principle of life I'm about to tell you. To get past it, you gotta go through it. That's true in so many areas, but it's particularly true with failure.
You can have a very hard life right now and a very overwhelming life right now and still be happy. Because you know, based on being a realistic optimist, that this period will pass, and you know that there are things that you can think about and do that are within your control. Oftentimes when you hit bottom, you bounce. And that's where I think the power is.